Hi, hope that you're having a really good afternoon. Welcome back to the Daughter Rise channel. Happy Easter to you on this Easter Sunday, and I hope that you are chilling out, having some time to just chill out with your family and relax over this bank holiday weekend. So this is just a quick video really about a documentary I watched. Now, I don't know, some of you may know, some of you may not know about a singer called R.Kelly, who was huge in the 90s, had a string of R&B hits, and yes, he's still quite popular today, who has been consistently over the decades in and out of the news for his, they say, alleged abuse of young girls. So the other night I watched a documentary called R.Kelly, Sex, Lies and Videotape. I think that's what it was called. And to say I found it to be quite hard, to be honest with you, because yeah, it's obvious from the people that the reporter spoke to. He travelled over to America. The documentary was done by BBC Three. They travelled over to America, went to R. Kelly's hometown and other places, spoke to various different people, including, record producers, family like his brothers, his old manager. And what was really clear from what they said and what they didn't say was that they believed that R. Kelly had an unhealthy interest in young girls, and that he had also engaged in sexual activity with them. And as a matter of fact, some of the people, like the record producer, the white guy, I can't remember his name, actually witnessed a young girl being ran through, meaning having sex with different guys to please R. Kelly. And it was just no one did anything about it. I think that's one of the things that I found difficult about the documentary, is that nobody did anything about it. And you could tell when they were speaking to the manager, when they were speaking to the brothers, that they really didn't feel comfortable talking about it on film or confirming it on film. And that again just spoke volumes to me, because it is about, I think, his star power. The fact that has had and has a lot of influence still in the music industry, that he is able to make these people feel very wary about exposing the truth. And it was just a very difficult documentary to watch. I mean, I am not surprised by these things that have come out about him. I did a video. If you check on my videos on this channel, I did a video about R. Kelly back last year, and I did say that he was sexually abused as a child in a very bad way. All sexual abuse is bad, but that doesn't excuse his behaviour. He is a paedophile. And unfortunately, because of his influence and his star power and everything else, no one is willing to speak up for him, speak out against him. And those girls, and the girls that have tried to speak out against him, have either been paid off, their family's been paid off, or they've been shut down and vilified and all this other type of stuff. There was a case back in the 90s which really did blow up, and that was this singer called Sparkle. She was a really good singer. She had a niece, and I think she was like 13, 14 at the time. And basically, there was a video that came to light with him peeing on the niece. A videotape surfaced of him committing these acts on this young girl. He was charged with child pornography and everything, and it went to court. But because I think one of the main points, I think that was the problem, was because the video didn't clearly show his face. That was enough. That gave enough room for reasonable doubt. So he was able to get off from it. And I just think the fact that he got off from it, from that charge, just added more power and potency to his paedophile his paedophile ego, his paedophile nature. Because then what message does that send out to the girls then who try to come forward? And I'm sorry to say this, but I feel that in terms of it's hard enough for survivors of sexual abuse to speak out. I mean, he has a thing for girls under 16, and you know the age of consent is 18, and he has a thing for girls under 16. And there's videos of him online, you know, where he's been asked, you know, about his fascination with teenage girls, and he seemed even confused himself when he said, "How old do you mean by teenage?" He's a very sick man, and the fact that he got off with this crime back then, as just really for any girls coming forward, it sends a powerful message. And you know, I really believe he's still carrying on with it, and he's arrogant enough to carry on with it. You know, recently in the news headlines, back a few months ago, again he was in the news because and was accused allegedly of having a sex cult. He is somebody who is enslaved by his desires. The lust and the paedophilia lust that he has completely consumed him. And you know, you're going to get people out here, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, but you are going to get people out here that are going to say, "Oh well, you know, he makes good music," or whatever. As black people, we need to stop making excuses for him. You know, in the black community, in my work, as founder of Daughter Arise, as a survivor in the black community especially, I find that people are more likely to make excuses for people's behaviour and not call them out. It doesn't matter what if he can sing or if he's got talent and stuff. The fact is, this man is a paedophile. And it reminds me of the whole Jimmy Savile situation. Again, we had somebody who was well known. I'm not sure if he was well liked, because I never really liked him. I always thought he looked a bit weird, but somebody who had tremendous influence in he worked for the BBC, had tremendous influence with the media, with young children, but at the same time, for decades and decades, he was going around sexually raping children, disabled, in hospital, whatever. He just didn't care. But people who were around him, other celebrities who were around him, people who witnessed it, adults who witnessed these children, young girls being treated like this, stood by and did nothing. And again, we're seeing it in this case with R.Kelly, you know, but when I'm reading the comments online and I'm reading the tweets and what people have got to say, they're putting the onus on the victims. Why should the onus be on the victims? What, because they look a certain way? Because they've got boobs? Or because they carry themselves a certain way? Young girls, by very nature, false confidence. They pretend that they've got a lot of confidence. I did it. Lots of girls have done it. They'll pretend like they've got a lot of confidence when it comes to dealing with men, dealing with boys or whatever. But the thing is that he isn't in a position where he should know better. And the documentary really touched upon everything that I've known about it, because I read those court papers that were available online. He has been known to McDonald's in his old Chicago neighborhood, secondary schools in his old neighborhood, sit outside in his car and pick up young girls. So it's not like anybody is saying anything that it's not already known. It's widely known. But the thing is that he's been able to get away with it because of his influence and power. And also I believe because of his influence and power, because people might call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I call it being a truther, because I know that to get to his level in the industry, he has to be some type of Freemason, some type of Boule, Brotherhood or something, for him to have that type of power. And, you know, what he's doing is no different to what the Harvey Weinsteins have been doing, the Bill Cosbys, whatever. But the thing is, he's still been able to get away with it. And I'm really hoping all these movements that have been happening, Time's Up, Me Too, all these different movements that we're seeing will actually apply to R. Kelly as well. You know, because at the end of the day, you know, he's ruining lives. And the fact of the matter is that he's been suspected of running a sex cult. Just from going online, if you look at online, human trafficking, there are over 40 million humans that are trafficked in the world. That is a huge amount of people, and I was shocked to read some of the stuff that I read. And the highest proportion of trafficking is children for sexual exploitation, children to be prostituted around to different people. this is a high proportion of human slavery. And if you go online, it's called the Global Slavery Index, Human Slavery Index, and it shows you like the breakdown of child trafficking. Then you've got, debt bondage, human labour and stuff, where people are just, shipped to other countries and stuff. But the highest proportion is children that are being ferried just for use for sex and being trapped in child prostitution and being rented out for sex and stuff like that. So when we read that type of thing, and to hear that R. Kelly has involvement in a sex cult, allegedly involved in it, shouldn't become as no surprise. There were families that were on TV that said their daughter went to a concert with him or whatever, and they've not seen her in a year, or they haven't seen her in a while, and when they did finally see her, there's a video on the actual documentary which the girl, you can see in her eyes something is wrong. But obviously she's fearful and everything else. He, one lady on there, Kitty Jones, was talking about how, he had 14-year-old girls in there. For me personally, I don't know why she didn't do nothing about it. I'm still not clear on how old she was when she got involved with R. Kelly. But the thing is, what really struck me about this documentary is the people that they spoke to, no one seemed to be doing anything about his behaviour, and they felt uncomfortable talking about him, and they're just letting him get away with it. And to me, I don't know what else to say really, apart from that I hope that this documentary may help to give voice to the victims, may give voice to people who have been through this type of thing with him. Everything is just so weird, because when they were talking about Aaliyah, the manager actually confirmed he was at the ceremony that took place. For years, R. Kelly denied there was a ceremony. There was paperwork, certificate that showed that he actually had a marriage ceremony of some sort with Aaliyah, where her age was falsified. The fact of the matter is, when you look at that single, I had that single, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. He was so brazen with what he was doing then. This girl was underage, and he was there mixing around with her or whatever. He's very manipulative at what he does. And he's been doing it for a long time. And, one of the quotes from this, I think it was the lawyer or somebody, was saying that, how is somebody who's a young girl supposed to stand up to somebody who's had 25 years of grooming under their belt? They're going to have to be pretty smart to catch R. Kelly. That's what I have to say. I think that if they're not already building a case against him, they should start building a case against him. And for me, even though sexual abuse happens to a lot of us, I think less value is even added even more onto the lives of young black girls. I have a Twitter account, and no one ever tweets. No one who is on that page really tweets about the what happens in the black community. When it comes to young black girls, young Asian girls who are being sexually abused. And I'm not saying it's one life is more valued than the other, like the white life is more valued than the black. No, but what I'm saying is that sexually abused black girls seem to go unnoticed a lot as well. Or it's not as important, And besides being a survivor, I also am a black woman, so I will continue to also view things from that point. Not that there is any divide, but I would encourage you to check out this documentary for yourself. I really don't have anything else to say about R. Kelly, but he needs to be stopped in what he's doing. And I think this kind of nature that goes on when it comes to sexual abuse, because yes, it is startling to realise somebody might be doing something that you find shocking, but there needs to come a time with this issue where people stop turning a blind eye. And I'm not just talking about the R. Kelly situation with the people that he had around him then. I'm talking about in general, when people spot things that are not right. It is okay to report it. No one is expecting you to have the answers. It's okay to report it. It's okay for people to let the professionals, call the NSPCC, call these different organisations where you can report things confidential. Let them handle it. That's what they're there for. That is what they're trained for, to handle these situations. Don't take it into your hands yourself or whatever, but the responsibility must start with us. The responsibility must start with us. If we see something that is wrong, if you see something that is wrong, then you should be reporting it. So I will leave the link below in the description box. Check out it, the documentary. It's on there for 5 months, but check it out while you can. And I shall see you in the next video.